everybody, this is the 4-leaf Clover magnetic slider by an unknown maker. And to the right you'll see a slightly different version, but it's the same thing. We're going to be talking about the one that I received and comparing it to the mechanical version, which I'm almost certain came from the same company. Should be interesting. Please stick around. We will talk about this and, like I said, take it apart, compare it to a few things, the usual. So, if you watch this channel, you're aware that I've been anticipating the arrival of this thing, the 4-leaf Clover, to compare it to the Lollipop. And I was almost certain these would be probably made by the same manufacturer based on the view from behind. This one is the magnetic one, and I think probably, if we follow the usual path, they probably made the magnetic one first and then made the mechanical one later. This one has details that are machined a little bit flatter than this. You can see this one has a nice rounded features and stuff like that. They are otherwise about the same in every other way. Also, if we compare to that photo again, let's do that quickly here. Off to the left here, it should have come, and did come with an epoxy, I think it's an epoxy glitter mix that was put into this cavity in here. But the one I got, this whole thing came from a questionable seller, and I knew I was getting something that was potentially secondhand or being fixed up or whatever. And the one I got, this epoxy mixture was not quite dry. It was still sticky. In fact, the whole thing was kind of stuck together. So I took it upon myself to scrape all that out. In the process, you could see I scratched it up everywhere that the Clover is. But with acetone and everything, I was able to get that out. I hesitate to say who the seller was, because I think all sellers on AliExpress should be approached with caution. And I knew that I was taking my chances with this particular seller. So either way, the point is, it doesn't matter if I tell you who that was, because they don't have this anymore. As soon as they sold this, they had a couple Zerk versions, and they were gone. And I don't know if we'll ever see this one again. Like I said, I don't know who made it. The Lollipop came from an online store, and I'll put that right here. And that was thanks to watching a fellow reviewer, Kyle, over on his Fidget Focused is his channel. He reviewed this, and I was able to, learn where it came from, and I got my own. And I'm really happy with this. Really interesting piece. So, yeah, same place for sure. I'll show you these two cover plates here. Now, this one isn't the one that I was expecting to get with mine, but again, I'm actually, the joke's on them, I guess, because I'm happier to have this cover plate than the one I was supposed to get. The cover plate that would have come with it would have looked a lot like this behind, so this rear surface plate. So you can imagine that being on the front. Instead, I got sort of a blank, and that just matches up very nicely in every way with my Lollipop. So I'm happier with that anyhow. But I've covered this. I just did a review on this. If you want to see those details, please go there. We'll pop it apart here briefly to compare it to this, but I'm not going to review this again. So the only thing I have that's close to compare this to is the Sky Tower by Tego. And this one's a little bit different in the sense that the pivot point floats freely on either side. So this one does not do that. This one, the pivot point remains opposite of the lanyard hole on the bottom part up here. So that part always stays where it's at. You rotate around it, which is something you can mimic or do the exact same thing with this one, but it does function differently. Just be aware of that. This one can go this way, you see, either direction. This one will not do that. Will not go down, only up, and rotate. If you get it up there, you can move it around a little bit, but I find that on this one, you just want to move it up rotate it back, which is essentially all that I ever do with this one. So we may take this one apart a little bit too in comparison. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't think you're going to be able to find one anytime soon. If you look for 4-leaf clover slider, magnetic slider, whatever, I'm not seeing it anywhere, at least not on AliExpress. Now, if you're on Facebook, I would recommend getting hold of either it's A Plus Fidgets. His name's Siki Wang, and the other place is Emmanuel Fidelis, and that is I believe it's I hope I get this right, EDC Depot, I think. Either of those guys have an inside sort of an inside viewpoint of these things over there, and they can probably find whatever you want. And I imagine they could find you a nice one of these if you wanted one. So it's not bad. It's magnetic. It is the magnetic version, like I said, of this. Of course, I'm leaning heavily towards mechanical these days. The precision of that is just so much more pleasing to me. But as far as magnetics go, this is a darn nice one. It's actually a lot more responsive, more clickier than the Tego Sky Tower. And these are all stainless steel. So I don't know, I could tell you that much. I think the next thing we'll do is just do some comparisons and weights and take her apart. So this is the Mackie CP3 as usual. Let's see here, I'm holding it wrong. Okay, now we have the Top B from Metal Toys DZ. Lastly, of course, these are identical, and compared to the Tego, 1, 2, 3, 4 clicks, 1, 2, 3 clicks. Okay, now we'll get the calipers here. It is 48 millimeters tall, 25 wide, and about 12 thick. There are magnets in this, so I'm going to keep them out to the side. Maybe that won't affect the weight so much on the scale. Looks like about 89 grams compared to the other mechanical version, 80. So this one's actually a little heavier. The magnetic version, 89 grams compared to about 80, right? 80, 81. Interesting. Okay, so let's take this puppy apart. No springs and balls to worry about, but if you want to see the inside, you can go here and look at this little slot on the middle. I'm going to use my trusty Swiss Army knife here to just push gently through there and lift off this plate. Now, one of the reasons that comes off is, I imagine, for one, they can have different plates. And like I said, I got one I wasn't expecting to get. I expected the front plate to look a little bit more like the back plate, according to the photos. But I got a blank plate anyhow. The reason this comes off is because I don't have it in place. You can lift this right off. But it does come with a screw, a pivot screw that goes down in here. And that would merely prevent you from accidentally knocking this off the end. And I haven't found, like a lot of sliders that have that, like the 01, the 3-level 01 magnetic slider, there's no real need to have that screw in. because it's not going to pop apart that easily. So, but if you want access to that part, like I said, you can pop this off. And that's one of the reasons I can tell you that I'm almost certain these came from the same factory, same company. Here's the mechanical version, the Lollipop. If I push this same surface plate off, not only are they the same size, but you can see that I guess maybe they were desperate for a plate to fulfill my order, maybe, and they needed a plate and they didn't have one, so they took one from the mechanical version and drilled some different holes in it. Because can you tell this one, the empty holes are the same location as this plate, which is the Lollipop. So this plate, this cover plate, probably came from the production line for the Lollipop, and as an afterthought, because they needed it, they installed these other. They're a little harder to see, but there's 4 other magnets which line up properly with the model that it's for here. You see these magnets underneath, they do line up, the distance between them. So that's what was intended there. Of course, these are further out, away from the center. And if I line those up, you can see they line right up with each other. So interesting point there. And like I said, the only reason this one comes off is so that you have access to that pivot screw if you want to put it in there. Otherwise, you wouldn't. You'd have to take this off so you can get to it. But then they probably could offer different style cover plates. Now we can. I won't need that, I guess. If you want to take it apart, like I said, if the pivot screw's not in there, it'll just pull apart like this, and then you have access to the pivot portion, which I can turn by hand here. It's probably a little bit hard to see because of the reflection. There you go. That's not too bad. And it'll lift right out of there too. I managed to do it sort of by accident there. So maybe you can just hold this together like this, and under the right conditions, you can get it to pop off like that. That's a first for me. I came here with my miniature pair of pliers because I was going to suggest, see there's a flat edge here and a flat edge here. You can simply grab it like that, and if you turn, this is just like any of the haptic coins. If you try to pull them apart when they're in their normal resting position, it's really hard because the magnets are right over top of each other. And that's what the case is underneath here. It's the same sort of situation. But if you turn, this is the same thing with the haptic coins. If you turn it just halfway, but so that it's between magnets, it loses all of that attractivity at that one little point, and then it's really easy to pull things apart. But like I said, apparently, if you hold this in just the right way, you'll be able to pop it apart yourself without any tools. So you can see there, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 magnets. Same thing on here. That's what gives us all the clicks around the outside. Now that is somewhat different than the Sky Tower. In the Sky Tower, you want to get into like a middle position. Then you can lift it apart, because that's where there's a little keyway here. You can see there's a little square keyway here. It's the same thing on this one, but that's for this little square edge. It goes right in there. But like I said, this pivot point stays on this end. It doesn't move anywhere. This one is sort of fluid, and it runs the same way on this side, either direction. So that means this one's just a little bit more flexible, maybe more, has a few more options to it. But yeah, if you can find one of these, I like it, and the price was right. It was under $50, and actually for what I paid for it, it's better than I was expecting. And like I said, I knew I was taking my chances with this particular seller. And I'm still happy with the cover plate that I got. And even though I had to clean this out with acetone, and I managed to scratch it up, I'm still happy with this, and I can always come back and polish that out. That will not be an issue. I'll leave it alone, though. I probably won't let that bother me. There is a lanyard hole, just like on this one. Same thing. And it looks to be about 4 or 5 millimeters. You could probably get a paracord lanyard through there if you gutted the lanyard. Gutted your paracord first. But I think that is about all I have to say about that. If you have any questions, put them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks for watching. Bye.